The film opens with two officers named Adrian and Cobbs who are going inside a house. They see a barking dog that leaves bloodied footsteps, meaning that there is definitely something going on in there. Both of them walk further inside where they find the body of a man who seems like he was attacked by a knife. They also find a woman in the kitchen and a woman on the staircase, and both also look like they were attacked by a knife. As they keep in mind that the slayer has a knife, they go on their separate ways to cover more ground so that the murderer is unable to escape. Adrian goes into a room where she sees a picture of this family, and all they have found are the bodies of them, except the youngest one of them named Zachary. Just then, she hears a scream from the other room, where she finds that Cobbs was also attacked by a knife and is bleeding out. Scared, she is trying to save him when she looks around and sees Zachary covered in blood and holding a knife. He also has a mysterious doll in his hand, but before Adrian can think about it, Zachary comes running and attacks her with a knife as well. The scene now cuts to 5 years later, where we see a single mother named Allison and her daughter named Claire. They are moving away from the city to live in a nice house all alone. But Claire is not happy about this, because she will be away from her friends and will have to go to a new school. They reach their new house, where a real estate agent named Ken shows them the same house where Zachary and his family lived, but he does not share the fact that the family passed away in this house. Almost everyone knew about this, which is why no one ever bought it, and its price dropped. Claire only bought it because it was cheap and affordable. After Ken leaves and both of them start to manage things in their new home, Claire goes to her room where she finds that creepy doll underneath her floor. It is the same doll Zachary had, and Claire sees on its foot that the doll's name is Lilith. Just then, Allison walks in as Claire begs to keep the doll, even though she has other toys. Allison gets a negative feeling from the doll, so she takes it away and tells Claire to keep unpacking because she is not getting this doll. After this, we learn that Allison is a reporter who writes about superstitious activities. She calls her friend, who is a professor named Elena, and Allison gets her help in writing her reports because Elena is interested in the same kind of topics. While Allison is talking to her on the phone, she hears that Claire is talking with someone, so she goes to check it out. She sees that Claire is talking to Lilith since she does not have friends anymore. She gets very worried about Claire, which is why she sits with and starts talking to her. The next day, Claire is at her new school where her other classmates start to tease her since she is new. Instead of doing anything else, she screams out loud and everyone goes quiet. We also see that she is drawing a graveyard, which is very strange and concerning for a small child to draw. In the house, Allison is in Claire's room when she sees the spot on the floor as well. Before she can check it out, she hears the door opening downstairs where she finds that her neighbor named Janine is inside. She brings food and overshares, while telling her that she lives alone with her two cats, who are very nice to everyone. At night, Allison is working again when she hears that Claire is talking to the doll again, and this time it gets more concerning. Allison then goes to throw out the trash when she sees that Janine's nice cats are looking at Claire in her windows and are getting aggressive. In the morning, Claire refuses to go to school, even though Allison forces her to notice this sudden change in her behavior. She runs back to her room, and later on, Allison sees that she is again talking to the doll and wonders why Claire has started to act like this. On the other hand, Janine wakes up and sees that her cats are missing, so she goes out to check on them. She is completely taken aback and heartbroken to see that all of her cats have been violently attacked by someone or something. Claire is then at the clinic of a child psychiatrist named Dr. Freeman. Deeply concerned, Allison has contacted Dr. Freeman and has told him everything about Claire, and she found a doll which presumably made her act aggressive and strange. After visiting Dr. Freeman, Allison decides to take her outside to eat in hopes that Claire will enjoy herself and be happy. She is having an ice cream sundae, and a waitress named Carol comes and starts to joke with Claire. She notices the doll and picks it up while joking about throwing it away, but Claire is unable to handle any of this and loudly yells again. Allison is shocked by this and apologizes to Carol for what Claire just did, and both of them leave the place. After this, when she is walking inside her house, Janine stops her and accuses Claire of murdering her cats. She says that a kid jumped over the fence and came inside her house last night, and she claims that it was Claire. Allison ensures that Claire has nothing to do with her cats. But still, Allison gets suspicious because of Claire's recent behavior. She thinks that there is a possible chance that Claire could have done this, but thinks that Janine is just paranoid because the girl would not go that far. As night draws near, we see Carol again, who is closing the shop. When everyone leaves, she starts to feel a presence and gets attacked by something. She tries to escape, but sees that the stove has turned on, and before she can do anything else, the whole shop explodes. The next day, Claire's father is here because Dr. Freeman suggested to Allison that Carol should spend some time with her father, because that could be the main reason behind her behavior. Her father, Jonathan, takes her away to spend a few days together, while Allison is left alone in the house. While she is alone, she calls a plumber to her house so that he can check out what the hidden spot in Claire's room is. The plumber finds a few pictures in there that are of Zachary's family. She notices that the whole family is happy, but Zachary is serious in all of the pictures while holding the same doll Claire has. The plumber sees and claims that it is a very powerful voodoo doll, and it is bad luck if someone else other than its owner has it. Allison gets more worried because Claire has it now, and it could be the reason why she is acting like this. She then goes and does a little research where she finds that the whole family was murdered in this house, and that only their youngest member survived. She also learns that he is in a mental institute, so she decides to go there and ask Zachary about the doll. When she meets Zachary there, she finds that he has gone completely silent and refuses to talk. After trying many times, the nurse comes inside and tells her to leave because he will never speak. While Allison is leaving, he starts to sing a song, and she realizes that it is the same song Claire also sings sometimes. She angrily asks Zachary about the song, but the nurse takes her away. She comes home and calls Ken because she is mad that he didn't inform her about the Zachary family getting slaughtered in the house. She wants him to resell the house, but he claims that no one else is willing to buy it because of what happened, meaning that for now, Allison is stuck in this house because she can't sell it. Meanwhile, Claire is with John when John's girlfriend Kathy walks in with a doll. John knows about Claire's obsession with the doll, which is why he wanted her to have a new one and get rid of the one she found in that house. Kathy gives her the doll, but Claire does not like her or the new doll, which is why she even breaks the doll before sleeping. While she is sleeping at night, John goes out for a few minutes and Katie is left all alone. Hearing peculiar noises, she starts to panic and feels a presence behind her. She also sees a knife moving on its own, which is why she takes a phone and hides under a bed. She calls the police, but before she can say anything, she gets dragged away by something. We still do not know what is doing all of this, but it is happening to everyone Claire does not like. John is then coming back home when the body of Kathy falls on his car. Cops are then in his house when Allison walks in and sees that Claire is still playing with Lilith while sitting right next to John, who is stunned by this. He claims that he left for only a few minutes when all of this happened to her. Police claim that someone broke inside the house and did this because there are signs on her body that someone forcefully did this. Allison is even more anxious about all of this because bad things are happening everywhere Claire goes with that doll. She decides to take Claire back because John is already dealing with the loss of Kathy. At home, we see that Claire's obsession with the doll has grown to a point where she is now even trying to dress up like a doll. Janine is then home alone when she starts to notice something strange. She tries to check it out, but the lights go out, so she turns on a torch light and starts to look around. She feels the presence of something, so she tries to run away, but there is a trap in her which causes her to fall from the stairs. As she is on the ground, something attacks, and we still do not know what is doing all of this. The next day, Allison is cleaning in Claire's room, where she starts to smell something terrible. She looks from the window and sees that a crowd of flies has gathered in one spot. She goes out to have a better look, and when she goes near it, she sees that it is the body of Janine, who has been brutally mauled. She is shocked by this, which is why she straight up goes to the police station to report this. While at the police station, she also calls Ken and tells him to sell this house again or do something else because they no longer want it. We now see Ken, who comes to the house so that he can talk things out in person. He knocks on the door, but no one is there. As he is about to leave, he notices the door opening on its own, so he walks inside. He calls for Allison because he still sees no one, and just then, something hits him as he falls on the floor. Later on, Allison calls John to talk about Claire because she does not know what she should do with her because nothing seems to work. Amongst other things, he mentions the doll and strongly suggests that she should get rid of it. Allison can also notice this obvious thing and thinks it is time to try and get rid of it, regardless of how much she is attached to it. While Claire is sleeping at night, Allison comes in to check on her and takes out the doll from under her bed, thinking that she wouldn't notice. The second she leaves with it, Claire wakes up and knows that Lilith is missing. She sees from the window that Allison is coming back from somewhere, so she figures out that she took the doll and got rid of it. Allison comes home and sees that Claire is waiting for her, and she instantly starts to scream because she knows that Allison threw it away in the garbage. Claire throws a tantrum over this, but Allison grabs her and calms her down. Allison also notices that Claire is hurt on the arm, and realizes that the doll was also scratched on the arm. She now fully believes that Lilith is not a normal doll and is glad that she threw it away. Claire later sees that the garbage man comes and takes away all the garbage alongside Lilith. The man goes away, but as he is driving, he gets possessed as his eyes turn black and the car crashes. Fuel leaking from the car catches fire, and his whole truck explodes as Allison sees in the morning that Claire is again sleeping with Lilith. She is unable to process the fact that she threw the doll away, yet it is back again. After a while, she takes Claire to Dr. Freeman and leaves her there so she can visit Elena so that she can learn more about Lilith. She tells her everything, but Elena finds it hard to believe that a doll is the reason for Claire to misbehave. After mentioning several other things, she tells Elena that she tried to throw her away and accidentally cut the doll on the arm while picking it up, and then noticed that Claire had a scar on the exact same spot. Elena is a little concerned by this because she has heard about voodoo dolls, so she thinks it is possible that Lilith is causing all of this. Allison also explains that when she threw it away, it was back the next day, which is very alarming. Elena asks her to leave the doll here, so she and her partner can study it, and Allison agrees to this. Allison then goes back to Dr. Freeman where she hears something very shocking. He tells her that Claire has a scar on her arm. Allison instantly rejects this and says that she has been nice to her even after she has been acting like this. Dr. Freeman does not believe this and thinks that her anger issues are triggering because her mother. He gives Allison one last warning and claims that he will call social services if he sees one more bruise on Claire, or if she ever says that her mother hit her. Allison is devastated by this news and does not know what she should do with Claire now. She comes home and breaks down in tears as she calls John for help. She tells her everything and says that he does not have to come over, but John claims that both of them are in this together, so he will be there by night to help with Claire's situation. She is relieved after hearing this, but when she ends the call, Claire comes out of nowhere and asks where the doll is. Allison gets a little nervous because Claire sounds angry, and she can easily call social services and get Allison arrested, which is why she acts nice with Claire. But Claire starts to hit herself on the face. She starts to bleed from her nose and asks where the doll is. Allison is too stunned to speak, so Claire runs away and goes to her room. When she is sleeping at night, Elena inspects the doll with her assistant, and they decide to dissect her. As they start to cut the doll, Claire also starts to get hurt, which means that they are not only connected spiritually, but they are now also connected physically. But as both of them are doing it, the lights get cut out, so the assistant decides to go check it out, but she gets attacked. This explains that the doll is the one attacking everyone who is a possible threat to it. Elena notices that her assistant has been gone for a while, so she goes to check on her. When she goes to her, she finds her body and gets taken aback, not knowing who would do such a thing. Claire wakes up in the morning and sees that John is here, and he is cooking breakfast. She sits down as she is a little happy that her father is with them after a long time. Allison also notices that Claire is in a better mood now, but on the news she sees that Elena's assistant was attacked as well. She sees that Elena survived, but she is certain that the assistant passed away because of the doll that was with them for the night. She tells John to take care of Claire while she goes and meets Elena. Meanwhile, Dr. Freeman is looking at the footage of Claire and notices that she is giving a very creepy smile that he cannot explain because he thought she was innocent. As he is intrigued by this, his assistant comes inside his office with Lilith in her hand. She tells him that this was outside their door, so she brought it in. Claire goes to the university to check in with Elena, but the police are not letting anyone in since it is a crime scene. She claims that she knows the victim, but they still do not let her go inside. She asks them if a doll was found, because that might be the thing that is causing all of this, but they claim that no doll was found. When she is coming out of there, she gets a call from Dr. Freeman, who emphasizes that he has something very important to tell her, so she needs to be there. When asked, he explains that he knows that Allison visited Zachary in the mental ward because he helped Zachary recover 5 years ago. He also mentions that Zachary has been reported missing because he broke out of the asylum, so she needs to be here instantly. She thinks that Dr. Freeman might be able to help Claire as well since he helped Zachary, so she heads to his office. After he is done with the call, Dr. Freeman notices that his assistant is on the floor and is covered in blood, meaning that Lilith is attacking her as well. As he tries to run away from there, a scissor comes flying and hits him on his back as he falls down. On the other hand, John is all alone in the house with Claire when he hears an ominous sound. He goes to check it out and sees that it is a flower pot that fell and broke, so he decides to go back inside, but the door gets locked. Claire is sitting inside with the doll mysteriously back in her hands. John breaks inside and sees that Claire is missing, so he starts to look for her all around the house. Allison finally reaches the office, only to see the body of Dr. Freeman hanging from the ceiling. She knows that it is Lilith, so she heads back home, where John finally finds Claire in the attic. He tries to go close to her, but at this point, Lilith has fully taken over Claire, so she does not let him near her. Allison reaches the house as well and goes straight to the attic, where she joins John and tries to take the doll. John manages to take it and tries to tear it apart, but it only hurts Claire, so Allison tells him to stop. When he puts it down, Lilith and Claire both disappear, but Allison manages to find Claire, so she takes her and runs out of the house with John while the doll is still inside. As they get out of the house, Elena comes there because she has done her research, and now she knows exactly what is happening here. She reads some prayers and traps Lilith inside the house, while they head to her house where she explains what happened to Claire. She says that the doll has an evil spirit, and after a while, they can physically connect themselves with whoever has the doll. Claire has also reached a point where the spirit can control her body. John is worried and asks how they can get rid of it, and she says that they need to take its eyes out while burning it with proper rituals. Before she can explain further, Claire wakes up and attacks John while managing to run away from the place. They all go after her, but she manages to attack Elena as she eyes out. After doing that, Elena is begging for her life, but Claire mercilessly throws fuel on her and lights her on fire. When John and Allison come there, they see that Elena is on fire while Claire is running away. Elena eventually passes away and falls down as the life leaves her body. Allison puts the fire out by putting a blanket on her and mourns the loss of a good friend before going back to their house, because they know Claire will run back to Lilith. While they are driving back to the house, John sees that Lilith is in the back seat of their car, but again disappears. They almost get in a car crash, but still manage to get to the house. Both of them now enter the house and go to Claire's room, where they see her standing and turning her head all the way around to look at them. He goes closer and asks for the doll, but she throws him out of the room while closing the door and attacking Allison. She gets on top and starts to choke Allison, who is still trying to grab the doll and not hurt Claire. John breaks the door and comes inside, while Allison finally grabs the doll and throws it towards John. He takes the doll and instantly takes out its eyes, and while Claire screams at first, once the eyes are out, she is no longer possessed and falls on the floor. John is relieved that everything is over. The evil spirit appears right in front of him and tries to hurt him, but he throws the eyes on the floor and crushes them by stomping on them. The spirit goes away, and they are finally happy to learn that all of it is now over. They go and pick up Claire as the scene changes to them burning the doll, but they do not do it with proper rituals like Elena said. They move into this house together as John and Allison are back together, and Claire is also seen happy. They are then inside their car, while Claire is looking outside of the window when she sees Zachary, who is smiling. Here, this movie ends.